Welcome to episode 55 of Sport SA Daily Diary. Today we're chatting to Proteas hockey player Clinton Panther. Clinton, g'day, how are we doing?
Hi, Adam. Good and yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Glad to be getting out and doing a little bit of exercise now.
No, 100%. It was certainly needed. I was really itching to get out there and actually have a run. So yeah, it's been pleasant for the past few days.
Yeah.
And yourself?
Yeah, also I've been getting out almost every morning and it beats running around in circles in the garden.
No, spot on.
Clinton, you obviously play hockey for South Africa, and we'll get into that a bit more shortly. But you also have a full-time day job.
That's correct. I work for Allen Gray as a business development manager. Really enjoyable company, good people, a very supportive business. So, I'm very thankful for my opportunity with them. And yeah, I look forward to a long-standing relationship.
And they must be very proud to have an international hockey player amongst their ranks.
No, I do believe so. And as I said prior to this, they're a very supportive business, and they do show that through obviously assisting me along the way. So yeah, very, very good business, quality guys. It keeps me busy and on my toes on a daily basis. I certainly need that. So at the moment, yeah, very chuffed about the opportunity with them.
Oh, that's good to hear that they're supportive. So while we're on this call, is you obviously play hockey for South Africa. You've played more than 100 caps, which is an amazing feat. Tell us how you got into starting playing hockey. Was it from a young age? Did you play other sports, or was it always hockey for you?
Yeah, well, that's going back to the very young days now at primary school level. So that was back at Constantia Kloof. We had to play pretty much all sports. So we had the likes of your crickets, tennis, soccer, swimming, you name it. And hockey just tended to stick out to me. It was a more skillful sport, more challenging. And that's probably why I found it really attractive to go further in that sort of path. My brother was also really good at the sport, so therefore him and I always had challenges. And I think that's the reason why it eventually ended up being the more favorable sport to go for in the long run.
And did you carry on playing, obviously, in high school as well?
Yes, 100%. So immediately from Constantia Kloof, I went to St. Benedict's College for the first 3 years of my high school career. Played some decent hockey there, very good sporting school. Then from there, for the last 2 years of my sporting career, I went to Michaelhouse, and also quality setup, awesome facilities, and really good at what they do. So yes, I have continued, and without hockey, I think I would go completely and utterly mad. So I think that's my sanity check on a daily basis, to get out, enjoy hockey, see a good bunch of friends and family. Yeah.
I believe it's a very sociable sport. Clinton, you're a midfielder. The reason I ask is, knowing from football, it's kind of a box-to-box position. Is it the same in hockey, and does that then therefore require extra fitness from a player like yourself?
I would believe so. So I do think hockey and soccer do go hand in hand. So whenever I have coached soccer players in the past, and they've tended to come across to try out for hockey, they've got very similar mentalities. You can see their leading sort of positions and how they react to certain play, which is very good. And with regard to hockey, it's normally your front six that rotate. So you've got your midfielders and your forward line. And say, for instance, I start out at right link, I could end up at left forward. But ultimately, the front six understand the roles in each of those positions that you need to fulfill. So if we are attacking and you are slightly out of your position and you can't get back in time due to the turnover, you can ultimately play that position you are currently in. So it is a front six rotation system, which means it's very expansive. Guys do have a bit of freedom, but ultimately that does open up channels and opportunities when going forward for our teams.
So are the guys sort of in the team very communicative? And like, if you are pushing forward, will you say, hey, Joe, drop back or whatever? Or is it just a sort of common known thing and the guys will just do it?
Or a bit of both, I must say. So as we train, we get used to kind of the rotation system and how various individuals move. So therefore, when you do see the right channel sliding up further up the field and guys overloading the right side, your left side tends to tuck in just as a security measure. So it's kind of second nature for us to do that, but there are certain calls that we react off in order to notify the guys in the opposite channels where we obviously not trying to get the ball, to just tuck in and just provide that security just in case there is a turnover when we are numbers up and higher up one side of the field.
And you yourself, are you quite a vocal player?
Yes, I do believe so. And I think throughout our lines, we have to be vocal, especially in hockey. So, I mean, me as, say, for instance, the right midfielder, I need to make sure that I'm communicating with my right forward as to tell him where he should be placed. So whether he should be 2 steps to his right, 2 steps to his left, and where he should be holding his stick at the time in order to make my life easier. Ultimately, the right back behind me will be communicating a very similar uh, uh, communication, because ultimately we're working at lines, and if we can cover different angles and different lines, it will make our lives a lot easier in those spaces.
So it's quite technical, and you almost need to take quite a lot on board, because you could be getting shouted at from behind and you shouting at the guy in front of you, and these directions are going all over the place.
No, 100%. You do obviously get the odd frustration where we do get a call wrong and you kind of turn around to the guy behind you and you're like, how did that happen? You're meant to be telling me where to go. You know what I mean? But these things do happen, and obviously other teams are trying to manipulate us as we do with them. So yeah, I mean, you do have the odd situation where you get it wrong, but more often than not, I do believe we do get it right, and hopefully
Yeah.
that continues.
Well, absolutely. Clinton, as mentioned, you've had over 100 caps. I think you're on 109 now. Take us back to when it all started, your first cap against Germany.
Sure, it was a very emotional experience. Also to play against the Germans, who are world, top ranked side, very, very quality individuals in their team. I was very nervous to begin, but a coach of mine, Greg Clark, he was very hands-on. He kind of spoke me through what to expect in the game and what he specifically expected from me in the game, which ultimately gave me the right footing to have the confidence for my first international cap. It was a tough ask because they are exceptionally good. And I mean, as a youngster of 19 years old, jumping onto the international stage, first game against Germany, you panic. But ultimately, as I got into it, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was a good way to start off.
So, I mean, just take us into a little bit more detail of that game. Sort of when you came on for the first time, was it like adrenaline going all over the place and you were not sure what to do, or did you just kind of settle into it quite comfortably, quite quickly?
I'd say a bit of both, eh? Because initially when I did start out, whenever they got the ball and they started attacking, their forwards literally just they change channels, they maneuver between each other, and it becomes exceptionally challenging to track them. And I was a defender, right half for that specific game. So I mean, for myself to handle a German forward who's now rotating and who's been training with their teammates for a hell of a long time, ultimately it made it challenging for myself. But eventually, after a few minutes, the first initial few minutes were tough, and I was kind of chasing my own tail. But after that, you get used to their structure, how they play, and especially playing with the teammates around you in a pressure situation. So to begin, I would say yes, I was chasing my tail a bit. But then as the game went on, I think I gained a lot more confidence.
And was the level of play significantly higher to what you'd ever experienced before?
Yes, definitely the case. Because I mean, the only other internationals I'd played prior to that would have been for the S under 21 side, and then obviously S under 19 and 18. But the big step up to international men's hockey, it's really, really big. If you do play overseas in the overseas leagues, then ultimately that step up is slightly less, because international fixture is always a million miles quicker than any other fixture. But yeah, all in all, I think tough challenge, big step up, but the earlier you put yourself into that situation, the earlier you get used to it.
Yeah. And Clinton, through your long career, you've been pretty injury free, other than in 2018 when you had a bit of a bash to the head.
Yes, indeed. It was a bit of a scare. It was actually in a game. Just to explain the situation, I got hit pretty much on my forehead over here. The guy was swinging from about 5 meters away. I was trying to close them down at the right angle, and he hit it straight up. So I didn't have any time to move. Thankfully, I didn't though, because it hit me straight on the head where I was still looking forward, and fell to the ground. Kind of as I started coming up, people came towards me, and their faces just changed completely, and they looked at me like, "Oh my word, what has happened?" Yeah, and there was actually a massive gash in my head, which was about 75 stitches eventually, which resulted in plastic surgery. But yeah, came out it on the other end, thankfully. If it had hit anywhere else in my face, I think it would have been a problem. But due to the fact that it hit me directly on my forehead, I think it saved me. It certainly did.
And I mean, when you came back, was it you came back as normal, or did it take a little bit of time to settle in again? Were you like a little bit nervous or cautious about getting clubbed again?
Yes, no, definitely. That always kind of plays in your mind. Went back into the first game, ran a few meters and started feeling dizzy, started seeing 3 or 4 balls. Literally, yeah, it wasn't ideal. And that was about a month, just after a month after the operation. So eventually I decided to call it quits in that game, take extra time out. And it took about 3 or 4 months eventually to get back on track and to feel confident enough to play. And for my mind to obviously not be seeing things that I shouldn't be seeing.
And tell me, Clinton, do you think there's any warrant in better protection for players in terms of safety equipment? You look at the likes of cricket, and the guys have now got the helmet and the bog or whatever it's called across the face. Do you think hockey will ever get there, or do you think it's not quite necessary?
I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. I think the only place where you'll see there's a lot more equipment that is being used is for penalty corners. So you'll get your face masks, your knee pads, you name it. So I mean, there you're pretty protected no matter what kind of angle you run in a short corner. But within the game, it's such a fast-paced game that if you do put on more equipment, I think it might slow you and might kind of limit your movement. So I don't think that would be a solution. But then yet, the moment you play international fixtures, the chance of you getting injured it's very minimal because the quality around you is at that level where when a guy's swinging to hit, you know it's going to be flat or it's going to be precise. Whereas if you play in a club fixture or maybe even provincial, the chance of that happening is more likely. So I don't think there's a need for it. But ultimately, the higher up you go level-wise, the less risk you have of being injured.
Yeah. Clinton, you mentioned a little bit earlier about playing with your boot and there being a bit of competition. You guys have had the honor of playing for South Africa together in the same team.
Yes, indeed. We're very thankful that we could have done that because from a young age, we obviously challenged each other all the time. I was thankful to have an older brother to learn from, so I could learn the skills that he was learning at a higher level at a younger age, which allowed me to obviously grow and be better. But to play with them was definitely it's a memorable moment. I mean, one that we've worked for and worked together as brothers for a while, and that was our ultimate goal. So when the opportunity arose, I actually remember us standing there in the national anthem, and geez, I almost started tearing up because it was like a moment that I'll remember forever.
I mean, it must have been a special moment for the entire family, not just the two of you on the pitch. I mean, that's every family's dream to have like 2 boys or 2 girls or whatever in a national side playing together.
Definitely. No, 100%. And I mean, just from my parents' side, they've put a hell of a lot of effort in. My dad was always with us on the Astro, throwing hockey balls at us, hitting balls at us. So yeah, I think for them to have seen us, especially, and my mom obviously, for them to have seen us play together would obviously have made them exceptionally proud. So I'm very happy about that.
Clinton, number 31. That's obviously been your number from the get-go. Any specific reason why?
Actually, none at all. Hey, that was just the number that was actually given to me when I started out on the national side. As a youngster, I got pretty much the highest number there was, because that was the only available number in the squad. And I just haven't really thought about changing it. I don't think I will because that's kind of just embedded with me. So I think it will be number 31 till I end my career. Certainly.
That's certainly a different number. Clinton, tell us about the nickname Chavy.
Jeez. Well, first of all, I have quite a few nicknames in the national setup, but Chavy is the one that seems to have stuck. So the reason for it is I'm from Joburg originally, and I was slightly short-tempered, I'd say, in my younger career. So little things kind of made me lose it. So I think that's where it originated from, being from Johannesburg, kind of having a bit of a short temper on the field with certain things ultimately led them to naming me Chavy. So you had to really be careful around Clinton. But then people would try and use it against me as well. Where in the game, try get under his skin because it would throw you off your game, so on and so forth. So I've learned over time to just relax, take it as it comes, and yeah, to enjoy the game.
So you were vocal on the pitch and a loudmouth as well. I had a chat to Stuart Berry as well, and we chatted about respect of players and that sort of thing. You look at rugby where the guys are incredibly respectful. You talk back to the ref and you get penalised further. Then you look at the other extreme, which is football, and the guys are all over the refs and not a lack of respect, but it's not the best sort of example. What's it like in hockey?
I think in the hockey circles, we respect the umpires and the umpires respect us. It's a mutual respect. So in hockey, first of all, the rules, we're not allowed to crowd the umpire at all. So the moment you have the first initial player, so with this new TMO system, if you believe that you saw something that happened that shouldn't have led to the short corner, then I'll say to the guys on our team, guys, I'm going to go in and I will do the explanation for the team review. Go to the umpire myself. The moment a second individual steps in, they will be carded. So only one individual can talk to the umpire. And to be honest, hockey's our circles are very small. So we do see our local umpires very often. So we tend to spend time with them. International wise, when you're on certain tours, the umpires stay at the same hotels as you, so you tend to converse with them. So they actually, you see them as your teammates as well. Yeah. So, but in the heat of the moment in games, sometimes you do want to go up to the individual and be like, that's the wrong call because you're passionate about what you're doing. But ultimately, we do control it and they'll understand those moments as well. And so they will, and so will we. So, I mean, it's kind of a give-take situation, but we're not allowed to crowd umpires at all.
So as a young chavvy, you obviously had to learn the hard way.
Yes, no, sure. Or I do have quite a high card count, but I do believe my goal count is higher. Over time.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Clinton, you've had some amazing achievements with the team. You were one of the youngest men to reach 50 caps against Malaysia. You've played at the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, the World Cups. What's been the standout moment for you in your career?
Standout moment would probably be 2012 Olympics, specifically when we were playing against GB, so Great Britain. Very challenging game. They're a team that we can compete against quite easily because I believe they play a very similar structure hockey to what we do. So pretty much in this specific game, what happened was we are 2-1 up with a few minutes to go. They eventually equalized. We drew the game 2-2, and keeping in mind that it was London Olympics, I mean their home ground. But those 2 goals that we scored against them in that game, you could literally hear a pin drop in that stadium. And I will never forget it because the entire game when you're playing, there was just noise 24/7. But the moment we put those 2 in the net, we were celebrating. We stopped, looked around, and you could hear absolutely nothing in the stadium, which was mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, very special indeed. You talk about playing the Poms. Again, we've had a chat to a couple of rugby players, and a few of them have said, who they don't ever want to lose against, and that the Poms have been one, New Zealand have been one. For the hockey side, who is that team that you guys really don't want to lose against, or essentially you want to beat? And in the same turn, who's the toughest team that you guys have played against?
I would probably say Great Britain is the team that I really don't enjoy losing against. They're a very good side. I ranked quite high up in the rankings. I think they're about 4th or 5th at the moment. So quality team. But once again, I think our styles are very similar. So therefore, when we do compete against each other, it's very equal playing fields. So if we have a good day, we tend to go in front. But if we have a bad day, ultimately, we end up losing it. But those are the guys and that's the team that I probably would say when I do lose against them, yes, I don't enjoy it. But when going into the game, I want to give it my all and make sure that we dominate them from start to finish. And then the team that I'd probably say is the best team that I've played against, skill-wise, so covering all bases, I'd probably say Australia. Exceptionally good, extremely fit individuals, massively skillful individuals, also very good people. So, I mean, if you generally find them in the Olympic Village or Commonwealth Game Village, they'll chat to you, they'll spend time with you. So I mean, humble individuals who are exceptionally good. Yeah, I must say they play at a different level altogether. But it's nice to play against them because you get to learn from the experience as well.
And the standout player you've ever played against, is it from Australia, England, India?
Yes, it's from the Australian team. His name is Jamie Dwyer. Short guy, probably very similar to my height, but an explosive player. Not selfish at all. He finishes exceptionally well, so you give him a sniff at the goal, he tends to put it away. But just very two-dimensional aerial skills. He's got every sort of attribute that you'd want as a hockey player, and he's definitely been around the block. Yeah.
Okay. And Clinton, have you had any moments from your career, not necessarily negative moments, but moments that you've actually learned from, where you can say, okay, this happened to me, or happened to a colleague or a player in my team, and it's been a moment where you've actually been able to learn from and stand back and say, okay, let's take this, let's learn from it, and then you are able to give advice to a youngster to sort of how do you deal with that situation going forward?
Certainly. So the one that will stick for me forever, I believe, is going back to now London 2012 Olympics. I was very new into the squad, so I made it the year before into the squad as a youngster. They had already been in their whole building phase for the Olympic Games. So to include me in the final 16, because you could only send 16, wouldn't be ideal, because I mean that group had been together prepping for ultimately 2012 Olympics. So coming into it, I eventually was selected as the traveling reserve, so the 17th player for the team. So I was in London, not playing, or wasn't meant to play any of the games. Okay. Then one of the players in our team got injured. I ultimately got filtered, and eventually just after the first game for the Olympics, and was fortunate enough to play. But going to the lesson that I probably learned from that is, when the selection came out and I was left out of that original team, the actual 16 players, I could have perhaps reacted in a different light than what I did. And that probably wouldn't have allowed me to gather the amount of caps and play the amount of internationals I have with my teammates, because that would have it would have put me on the back foot in selection, saying that Clinton's not a team player. So we have to realize that this is a team sport. And ultimately, if you are left out, there will be a reason that you are left out for that specific tour or team, whatever the case is. You just have to be positive, chat to your coaches, find out reasons as to where you can improve to perhaps be a part of that next team. Yeah. So if I had reacted in a negative way, I think it would have had a substantial impact with my career from 2012 onwards. So I'm very thankful I didn't.
I think, Clinton, that shows sort of the psychological requirement needed to play international level sport. I think being left out of a club team at local level and being left out of an international team going to the Olympics is chalk and cheese. They're miles between. So to be able to adapt to say, okay, I've been left out, very disappointed, very down, and then have to lift yourself and then have to play. I mean, that's quite something that you have to get your head around.
No, certainly, I fully agree. But I mean, in the moment, if you had to put yourself in those shoes now, so you've trained, I trained with that Olympic side because it was the 18 that ultimately trained together. So I was still a part of the training, the structures, how they're going to play, how they're going to press, all those small bits and pieces. Okay, so the only part I wasn't in at the original stages was like in the village, having dinner with the guys, which was Jacques Leroux and myself were outside the village, and we're just, touring around, to be honest, in our spare time. But other than that, the moment they included myself, I think just the excitement and the energy I got from it allowed me to be on top of my game. So yes, I was nervous because, I mean, this is now a massive stage. And to go in, I think my first game was against GB. I missed the first Australian game. But going into that game, I just remember how hyped I was and that I just wanted to get out there and give it my all, because I had my friends and family backing me from home. There was numerous people in the stadium shouting their lungs out for the Poms to win. So it's something that is difficult to get around, but kind of envision the situation. You've worked exceptionally hard to get to the specific point, so soak it up now that you are here and give it your all.
Yeah. Clinton, just in closing, what does the future hold for both yourself, for South Africa hockey? Is South African hockey on the upward trajectory, or where are we? Because we're always there and thereabouts, but we've never sort of really got to where I believe we can get to.
To be honest, I do believe hockey's making massive ground at this stage. I think we do have the right personnel in place who are really supporting what our managers and our coaches want to do for our team going forward, men's as well as ladies. So I believe, Chiefers, in the next 3 to 4 years, because we are in a building phase at this stage, I do believe that we're going to see some positive movement in hockey. We've got good quality individuals filtering through, but the likes of our current coach, Gareth Ewing, our managers within the team, and we've got certain personnel on a daily basis that we've got gym programs. We have to send in reports on a daily basis to say what we've done. Has it been fitness related? And they do send us programs to stick to, but we might have our own programs. There's yoga classes in the mornings, core classes in the evenings, Zoom sessions that you can attend. So, there's so much that is being done in order to allow for SA hockey to grow. And they're not only including kind of your 20 individuals, they're making it a massive squad effort. So you're getting more individuals involved, you're playing more internal games, which is giving you better exposure and ultimately bettering each individual within the team. So it's becoming more difficult to stay in the side because the competition has just escalated altogether.
Yeah. And obviously there's the 2020/2021 Olympics coming up. Is that group tight knit? Are you all in there for each other, knowing the greater good of the sort of why you're there?
Yes, definitely the case. Our ultimate goal, because we work on World Cup cycles, okay, so our ultimate goal is going to be the World Cup. But for this specific phase, I think Gareth Ewing is wanting to pretty much set a base of individuals within the side. At the moment, I think there's about 20 odd individuals in our squad. It was cut down from 40 just purely for this Olympic part of it. And we've been having Zoom sessions with certain individuals like Marshall Cox, Kevin Peterson the other night, of which they talk us through tough situations. But I do think that there's a key group who really get along well together, who will fight for each other no matter what. And this group has been together for quite a while. We've played numerous tournaments. We had games against USA earlier this year and Germany, which went exceptionally well. And I think just the start of the year, which was so positive, has put us in a really good place for 2020/2021 Olympics.
That's great to hear, and we look forward to watching out for you guys when you get to the Olympics. Clinton's been awesome chatting to you today on Sport SA Daily Diary. Thank you again very much for your time, and good luck. And let's hope you guys fly at the Olympics next year.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, and looking forward to it. Thanks, Adam.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye. Catch us again tomorrow on Sport SA Daily Diary, where we'll be chatting to legendary South African boxing champion Brian Mitchell.